Welcome to YNU 5 Photos, coming to you from the campus of Yokohama National University here in Yokohama, Japan's second city. My name is Alec Macaulay. This is a broadcast for English language learners here in Japan and overseas. On the show, guests come in and talk about 5 photos that are important to them. Today I'm talking to Francis from Vancouver, Canada, who is currently a lecturer at Sophia University in Tokyo. Hi, Francis.
Hi, Alec.
You've brought in 5 photos today from your time in Japan. The first one's of a festival?
Yes, it is. Actually, what happened was I was walking through the town I was living in, which is Kashiwa, and I noticed this mikoshi, which was very nice, and I thought, oh, well, there's nobody here. So I walked around a bit, and I suddenly noticed this one fellow that had one of those happy coats on, but then I noticed he didn't seem to have anything on underneath. So I was, first of all, quite shocked, and then I realized perhaps he was wearing one of those belt things that a sumo wrestler wore. And luckily, I just happened to have my camera at the time, and I thought, well, this will be the first time I see a partially unclothed person here in Kashiwa in broad daylight, so I decided to take a photo.
One thing about being in Japan, somebody else was talking about, is communal nude bathing and seeing people semi-dressed. They have the Naked Men Festival. Have you seen people at festivals in this state of undress before?
No. I have been to a festival where there have been questionable objects there, but not a real person who is showing the moon.
Is this a famous festival in Kashiwa?
Actually, to tell you the honest truth, it's not. It was actually a summer festival at the time, which they have every year. And it was a city-wide festival. They had blocked off the streets. And I suppose they had just were preparing to carry this or finished carrying it, because I was just wandering the streets at the time.
Okay, thanks very much. Photo number 2 is of some vegetables.
Yes, actually, the big white thing in the middle is called a daikon, and it's a Japanese radish. And it's a very common vegetable here in Japan, but not one this large. And my daughter, who goes to a primary school, she often takes home things that the farmers in the area will give to the kids. And it turned out that she came home with this massive daikon, and it was the largest thing I'd seen in my life. And I decided to put a carrot beside it and my slipper beside it, just to give an idea of how large this thing was. I mean, it was quite heavy too, and I would imagine, well, it took me several weeks to get through that one.
Daikon is quite a cheap, quite a popular vegetable here. I'm not sure how nutritious it is. Do you know?
Actually, I've heard that there are some soups you can make with daikon and a mushroom called shiitake, and carrot as well. And if you sort of make a broth out of it, it's supposed to help with cancer.
Well, that sounds very nutritious. Yes, thanks very much. What's photo number 3 about?
Photo number 3 is, it's an ikebana. Actually, this is a class that I took when I got here about, 18 years ago. And I've been taking ikebana for nearly 10 years. This one is from the Ikenobu school. And this is one of the sort of the highest level arrangements I can make, and it's a very, very complex one. It took me approximately an hour and a half to put together.
I don't know much about ikebana. Are there certain levels you can achieve, like kendo? Are there tests you have to pass?
Yes, there are. With Ikenobu, however, there is a beginner's certificate you can get. As with all schools, you can achieve levels and get certification for it. As it turned out, I achieved my teacher's level for this.
Well done. Are you going to keep up your flower arranging when you go back to Canada?
I'd like to, but considering the materials, which are very different here, and what they use to hold the plants, which is a spiky sort of mechanism called a kenzan, they don't use that very often in the West. And to actually use this, one thing about this arrangement is that you can actually only see it from one direction, whereas most modern arrangements, they have to be seen from all directions. So I think it probably won't be very useful when I go back home.
Okay, but a nice memory of your time here. And photo number 4, what's this about?
Well, what happened was I took a trip to Izu in Shizuoka-ken, and this is actually on the coast. Izu is this massive peninsula, and we stayed near a beach city called Ito. I walked along the beach, and there was this dock where a lot of people were fishing on. I don't know if they were allowed to fish there, but there were a lot of fishermen there. And I noticed this sign, and I had to laugh because it was a warning for being near the dock in case there was a storm or whatever. And I guess the thing to watch out for is being washed over by a wave. But being a warning sign, it wasn't very scary. In fact, it was very humorous, I thought. And I thought, well, that's very typical in Japan. Warning signs are not meant to be scary. They're meant to, I suppose, appeal to small children so that they'll obey it.
I've noticed that as well. In Britain, the warning signs and the warning commercials are very direct, very in your face. What about in Canada?
In Canada, very similar too. They're very strict, and it's mainly a do or die situation. But here they seem to, they make it known, but it's not where it's going to scare you to death.
Okay, thanks very much. And your last photo?
My last photo is something I like to do during spring and fall. When the leaves change color, I like going for a walk with my camera and taking various photos of leaves and trees. And this one was my favorite because it kind of reminded me of a vine climbing up the side of the tree, but also it was changing color. So I thought that was quite appropriate for the time. I believe I took this in springtime.
Oh, it looks like an autumn photo.
Yeah. It was a springtime photo. I'm not quite, actually, to tell the honest truth, I can't remember because I take so many leaf photos. But it was just something that really caught my attention, and I just also like the way the light played on it.
Yeah, it's a beautiful photo. You mentioned before that you've been here for 18 years, is that right?
Yes, that's right. I came here in about 1986. And but I'll be leaving soon, so these photos will be a sort of a great photographic album of my stay here.
And so 86, that's what, 21 years actually you've spent in Japan. When you look back on your time in Japan, it's very difficult, I suppose, to sum it up, but how has it been?
Actually, I'm really going to miss Japan. There's wonderful things about this country, the people, the culture, and as you can see from things that you see around you, I'm really going to miss it. But I'm also looking forward to going back home too. So I'm actually happy wherever I am, but this has certainly been a page in my life and one that's not going to be forgotten.
And you're going back to Vancouver, to your home city?
Yes, that's right. I'm going back to Canada, and so I'm looking forward to seeing my family and all my friends again.
Okay, well, good luck on the change, and I hope you have a long and happy time back in Canada too.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. Bye.